Alright, hi guys, Miss Canary again. I hope you guys are feeling a little bit better about the other types of exponents. We're going to talk about the last couple right now. And one of the big ones is talking about negative exponents. If you refer back to the top of your sheet, the top of your note sheet, we talked about the negative exponent means that you're going to flip it over the fraction. So in this one, to make it positive, I'm just going to flip it over the fraction. So that means I'm going to bring it down here, making it positive. And I can't just leave the top blank. There has to be something up here. So I'm going to throw a 1 up there. So your final answer would be 1 over x to the positive 9th. 22. Same exact thing. To make this positive, I'm going to flip it over the fraction. So it's going to become x to the 100th. And it's always just over 1 if I've got nothing else up there. There we go. That's the first two. There we go. Next one, same exact thing, but now we've got 2 times x to the negative third. So I want you to keep in mind that this x to the negative third is the only thing that's got the negative exponent. This 2 is kind of its own separate whole thing going on. So to make this positive, I'm going to flip it over the fraction to make it positive, but now I don't just have a 1 up there anymore, I've got a 2. So I have to make sure that it's 2 over x to the negative third. I just realized that's very hard to read. So 2 over x to the positive third power. Again, you need to treat these two things as 2 totally separate items. Okay? And then the last one over here. So to remember, to make this positive, I flip it over the fraction, which might also mean that I have to bring it up on the fraction, not always down. So that's going to become x to the 4th over 1, which we've always talked about. If you're multiplying or dividing by 1, you don't have to write it. So this would just be x to the 4th. There we go, that's negative exponents. So right now I want you to pause the video and I want you to do the next couple example problems on your own. Feel free to ask Mr. Twitchett for help, feel free to ask for help, but I want you to do those examples on your own. Alrighty, so here's the quotient. If you have no idea what that means, the word quotient means division. It's just a fancy math word for division. So, remember, like the first property, when we wrote it up and we looked at it up in the top box on your note sheet, what this means is we're going to subtract the exponents. So 7 minus 2, which hopefully we are all able to do in our heads, is a positive 5. That's all that we're doing for that. Number 30, same thing. You're just subtracting the exponents. So 10 minus 7 tells me it would be x to the positive 3. That is all that we're doing for those. Let's take a look at the next examples. Same things. So, now we've just got some numbers thrown in there, but I don't even really want to worry about those right now. Let's look at the exponents. So I still see I have 5 minus 4, which tells me that's going to be x to the 1st. Okay? The only thing I have to deal with now is I have these numbers. I have 12 over 6. Which hopefully you all can see that that can be simplified. For sure, that can be simplified to 2 over 1. So again, we've got a lot of 1s going on here. Remember, in math, we don't necessarily like to always write the 1s. So I could really just simplify this to 2x. So again, if you missed a step and you need to replay, that's nice that it's in a video. You can go ahead and go back and rewatch it if you don't understand how we got to that point. All right, number 32, same thing. I have a 12 minus 8, which hopefully we are all able to figure out that that is x to the 4th power, positive 4th power. All right, so now we have to simplify 4 over 8. So that doesn't simplify as nice as this one over here did. However, we can divide these both by 2 to give us 2 over 4. Which I hope you can see actually can be even reduced even further to 1 over 2. So this time I have a 1 in my numerator, 2 in my denominator. So I have 1 in my numerator, 2 in my denominator. This is really as much as you're going to get right now. We could write it a little nicer. I could write it x to the 4th divided by 2, but I will not be too picky. You may write it either one of these 2 ways. There we go. Again, I would like you to pause the video right now, and I would like you to practice the couple quotient or division problems on your own. There you go, Mr. Quotient. All right. Last thing that we have to do is we kind of have to combine some stuff now and deal with this. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, so bear with me. Feel free to pause it at any moment and feel free to rewind and watch it as many times as your little heart desires. So how we're going to do this is we're going to look at just the x's and just the y's. I can't randomly subtract x's from y's. So in this one, I see I have an x to the 4 and an x. So to simplify that, remember we just subtract our exponents. So that would be 4 minus 1. So that would be x to the 3rd. We also have to do the same exact thing with the y's. So I have y to the 9th, y to the 6th. So that tells me I'm going to take 9 minus 6, which would be y to the 3rd. So when we're dealing with these, we want to make sure that we don't have any negative exponents, and I don't. So we are done with that problem. All right? Next one. Same thing. Let's simplify inside if I can. So we have 7 minus 8, which is a little bit tricky and should throw you off a little bit. That's a negative 1. So inside here, I have x to the negative 1st, all to the 2nd. So there's two different ways you can approach this problem. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. We know that that's the rule. That was the second rule that we talked about. And I know that negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. All right? So then what we just talked about is how do I make this positive? And remember, to make it positive, we just flip it over the fraction to get the x to the 2nd on the bottom. And remember, we didn't have anything on top. We had nothing attached over here. So you just throw an imaginary 1 over there to get 1 over x squared. All right. Here we go. A couple more examples. So same thing. Let's simplify what we can first. So let's start with the x's. I see that I have a 9 minus 10, which is a negative 1. So I've got x to the negative 1st. And I also see that I have y. I have 2 minus 1, which will give me a positive 1. So I have y to the 1st. There we go. My variables are taken care of. The only other thing I can deal with is this 16 divided by 4. Can I simplify that at all? And in fact, you can, to just get 4. There we go. We're almost done. But remember, the one thing I said to be careful for is we don't want negative exponents. I want to get rid of them if I can. So what I'm going to do is this right here has a negative exponent. So remember, in order to make it positive, I am just going to flip it over the fraction. That is the only thing that I am moving. I am not moving the 4. I am not moving the y. The x is the only thing I'm moving. So that tells me that if I move this x to the bottom, that on top I have 4y left. That is your final answer right there. We cannot do anything more with that. Again, feel free to rewind and watch it again if you feel like you missed something or you'd like to watch it again. All right, last one here. So 3x to the 7th, y to the 8th, over 9x to the 10th, y to the 9th, all to the negative 2nd power. Again, let's focus on the inside. So I see right here, I have x, oh, what am I doing? I have, well, we're just subtracting the exponents. I have 7 minus 10, which will give me a negative 3. So that tells me I have x to the negative 3. All right, and then I have 8 minus 9, subtract top from bottom, which tells me I have a negative 1. So I have y to the negative 1st. All right, not too bad. So we just have to simplify 3 over 9. If you divide these both by 3, I have 1 over 3, which tells me 1's going to go in my numerator, 2's going to go in my denominator, 1's going to go in my numerator, 3's going to go in my denominator. We're almost done. Remember, I said the only thing is I don't want negative exponents. If I can get rid of them, I will. So whatever has a negative exponent, I'm going to move to the bottom, which in this example happens to be both of my variables. So by moving to the bottom, I'm making my exponent positive. So that's going to be x to the 3rd, y to the 1st. And then just copy what do I have left. So I had a 3 in the denominator up here, and it didn't move anywhere. I told you not to move anything that didn't have a negative exponent, so that's still in the bottom. And I still have this 1 up here, so that's going to stay up there. That is as simplified as it's going to get. But the real question is, are we done? Is that my final answer? Can we do anything more with that? And I hope that you've already caught my quick little mistake in that this is not our final answer. The last thing that we need to do is we've only simplified the inside. We have not done anything else. I have to take this whole thing now to the negative second power. That's okay. It's not that hard. Let's watch. Let's see how we do it. So negative second power, remember, it tells us that we are going to move everything. We're actually going to flip our fraction. So what is on the bottom is going to come to the top. What's on the top is going to come to the bottom. So that's going to say that 3x to the third y is coming to the top, and my 1 is going on the bottom. So by doing this, what I did is made my exponent positive. So for the sake of what we are doing in this class, now that you have a positive exponent, you may put a box around that. We are officially complete. So, I would like you to practice these on your own. I would like you to be patient with yourselves, be patient with your substitute and Mr. Twitchett, and I would like you to just work as hard as you possibly can on these problems and have somebody look at them when you are done. Thank you for being awesome, and I look forward to seeing you guys very soon.